I'm Gina Vance, Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students. I wanted to take a minute after a really wonderful and amazing semester to talk about what we've learned and to share some of the numbers. Let me start with a celebration. We made it 15 weeks in person, something that some of us never thought would happen. So please take a minute and celebrate everything that you did to contribute to our success. I want to talk a little bit about what we think worked best. First and foremost, the 4 mitigation strategies that we initiated right out of the gate: limiting close contacts, properly wearing a mask, staying physically distanced, and washing hands. Those strategies worked. We also were able to be together in community in ways that surprised us. Being outdoor, on the lawn, eating in the quad, in the Adirondack chairs, SGA and CPC events in the Anderson Amphitheater, we were able to successfully engage as a community in so many ways that I think are important and celebratory. So we're thankful that that was able to happen. While we gathered in some really creative ways, we also taught and learned in creative ways. Our faculty did an amazing job of teaching both hybrid, virtually, and in person. They adjusted lab schedules to teach every other day. We had music ensembles practicing outside and as far away as they possibly could. The marching band playing on the quad or for Jameson residents. We had the orchestra spread out throughout OR for rehearsals. Some really incredible and creative ways to make good education happen. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers then. We had, from July 25th through the close of classes, 62 positive cases of COVID within our on-campus community. That's about 4% of our total population over that entire time period, which is really relatively low and a number that we should be proud of. 57 of those were students and 5 of those were staff. We quarantined or isolated 503 students. We ran 249 tests. 86 of those tests were run prior to November 1st. The balance of those tests were run after November 1st. Just like Lawrence County, our cases began to rise, just like the state of Pennsylvania, and just like the nation, our cases began to rise after Halloween weekend. What we know about that specifically here on campus is that there was off-campus Halloween activity in student residences immediately adjacent to campus that really contributed to the increase in cases that we saw here on campus. It was common for students who were roommates to become positive when their roommate was positive first. And we did have a few students from off-campus clinical and student teaching experiences become COVID positive. Most common source of spread were off-campus gatherings where our students live locally. There is no evidence in the data of classroom spread, and there is no evidence in the data that relates any of our positive cases to organized and supervised athletic activity. What we learned mostly was what kind of symptoms present when students in particular are sick or test positive for COVID. Our top 2 symptoms were nasal congestion and headache. So many of the students who ended up testing positive said, "I just thought I had a cold," or "I just thought I had allergies," or "Gina, I get a sinus infection every year, I just thought it was that." So the lesson learned for us with symptoms is that even if it mimics something that you typically get this time of year, you need to contact the wellness center. In some cases, students lost their sense of taste and smell, and what we know is that the only diagnosis with the loss of taste and smell is COVID. So please get tested as soon as you experience either of those. So as quickly as this semester has come to a close, we are already planning and thinking and making adjustments for next spring. As you know, cases are still climbing, and we have to respond. The state is putting out new guidelines, athletics is putting out new guidelines, and each of us in our own way on campus is beginning to plan for next semester. At this point, I would say we need to continue to be flexible, agile, and be prepared for sort of those quiet and reset periods that may happen periodically moving forward. But as always, we can do it together.